Hello and welcome. Campbell here from Autodidactic channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And today we're going to have a look at where all this information about Tartaria came from. Where did all these maps and everything actually come from? Because, it's quite clear that they weren't around, sort of 10 or so years ago. None of this information was out there. And yet now it seems to be quite a lot of it and even more coming out. So we're going to have a bit of a look into Tartaria and where did all the info about this old world civilization come from. So let's jump in. All right, so of course, guys, remember that autodidactic means to be self-educated. And of course, we need to be self-educated in this world, because if we're not, the only choice we have left is to believe what other people tell us. And of course, that's what we're going to look at today is, what we've been told about history and how true it is. And now we have all this information about, an advanced previous civilization, most of it being called Tartaria as a country or a region, an empire. So where did it all come from? Let's jump in. You may be surprised. And of course, thank you to everyone who does support me and my work in this channel. I do appreciate you all, everyone who supports me through PayPal and Patreon, and of course, everyone who just likes and shares and comments and all that stuff. I do appreciate you all. Okay, so let's jump into it. It says we're here on Free Earth News, and I'm not sure if I can read this title because of some of the words in it. So we'll just say that the president of a very large country that used to be called Tartaria, the Poot Poot Man, releases a Tartaria archive, makes it public. Okay, now this story is July 23rd, 2021. But if we come down here, the president of that large country, Mr. Pooty Poot, inaugurated a new archive where Tartaria maps are made available to the public on January 15, 2013. The Vlad man inaugurated a new archive where Tartaria maps are made available to the public. You probably ask, what's so interesting about it? Well, it is a lot. And this let the world know that Russia was embarking on a journey to reveal, because it is aware that a nation that does not know its history cannot have a future. So the current official Russian history as taught in schools was created during the 18th century and was written in accordance with the biblical Jewish concept of history, custom from the Romanovs, just by transitioning from the original calendar counted from signing the peace in the Star Temple to the Julian calendar. The history of this realm has been shortened by more than 5,500 years. Okay, now we talk about the 1,000 years, or around the 1,000 years that was put in. Now this is saying 5,500 years of history has been taken out. Apparently, many people have never heard of the largest state department on Earth during our history. Although we learned about the famous Egyptian, Persian empires, Ottoman, the Roman Empire, but all of them were little against the huge Slavic Empire, which over the ages were called Rusinia, Scatia, and finally Tartaria. All the more surprising that this country has not found a single mention in official world history. This gap is now a bit filled by some information from historians, but also other available sources. And if you haven't seen it yet, go and have a look at my video with Bernie, the Great Wall of Tartaria. And that is going right across what used to be the Slavic Empire, right across that sort of Slav region. And Olaf the Sverker has also got some videos where he looks at the calendars and even shows dates on buildings and things, where he's saying that the Slavic calendar is the year 7000, which would, fall into this narrative they're telling us that 5,500 years was wiped out of the calendar. So we're probably actually in the year 7,500 or something, not 2022. So down here, millions of inhabitants created a self-sustained culture based on the spiritual and moral qualities of man, respect for ancestors and justice, respect for family, and the love of their homeland. This country is displayed on many old maps and is spoken about in encyclopedias. Great Tartarians originally inhabited the region known as Tartaria on the old maps. They were tall, with red hair, white skin, blue, green, or grey eyes, and resembled Slavs, Aryans, and Russians. Friendly and kind in times of peace, brave and merciless in battles, righteous and compassionate in the days of victory, and steadfast in adversity. And the fact that they fought for the most sacred thing, for their rod, their homeland, and their moral purity and faith of their ancestors, made them invincible, at least for 5,500 years, until there was some kind of cataclysmic reset, right? And even down here, it even says Encyclopedia Britannica, first edition, episode 3, Edinburgh 1771, page 887, tells us, from the Urals to Alaska, wow, from New Earth to Tibet, Tartaria was a great country in northern Asia, bounded by Siberia in the north and called Great Tartaria in the west. Tartarians living south of Moscow and Siberia were called Astrakhans. Cherkess Dagestanians lived northward and of the Caspian Sea, and Kalmy Tatars named those who inhabited the territories between Siberia and the Caspian Sea. Uzbek Tartarians and Mongols inhabited the land north. So, I mean, even here in 1771, you can see that Tartaria is already, pretty much broken up. It's no longer one Tartaria. Now we have all these different, like, Kalmy Tatars and Uzbek Tartarians, so even then it was still there as a big country, but it was starting to be broken up. And of course, 1771, that's very close to the reset. After that, obviously something went bang. People moved in, took advantage of what was going on, of the weakened Tartarian Empire, and basically took it over, infiltrated the whisperers, changed their morals, brought in the new religions, and then their new, laws and all this kind of stuff. And here we are, basically, is what's going on. So it says the natural boundaries of the realm that were known as Tartaria, that occupied almost the entire northern hemisphere in ancient times, were ocean shores. Yet 3 of them, Ice, Silent, and Atlantic, were actually its inland waters. So there you go. It's saying that at one time, it was basically the whole northern hemisphere, or the whole inner circle of the realm. All of this was true until the 18th century. Suddenly, as if the waving of evil wizard's wand, Tartaria disappeared. The world's largest empire on the map from the Encyclopedia Britannica of 1771 was displayed on the threshold of new ages. Why didn't this great empire leave a few less important states behind, as usually in case of the breakdown of other empires, and where did millions of its inhabitants go? Why can't we find any mention of this amazing territorial at all in the history books? And it's a very good question, isn't it? So there you go. All of this information about Tartaria was released by, go figure, right, the Tartarians. Oh, Vlad the Poo-Poo. So that's where all this information came from. So I'll leave a link to this below and you can go and check it out for yourself. All right, now I haven't been able to find the actual archive. It's obviously hidden. I've even checked Yandex. So if you can find it, let me know. But there's obviously something's been released, right? And that date, January 15, 2023, is, that's not long before, that sort of a year or so before I found all this information through the New Earth channel, who was from this region, basically. So there you go. What do you think? Vlad the Tartarian is behind releasing all these maps and starting off this research and letting all this stuff go. And of course, what's happening in the wider world now with, the blue and yellow country. And of course, the big country of the Tartarians is always the baddie, right? It's a baddie, where in reality, they're probably freer than us at the moment. And of course, they've got the strongest economy in the world now. So, some interesting, tidbits to think about there. So there you go, guys. Thank you for spending some time with me. Hope you enjoyed that one. Don't forget, give me a like, share this video around, and check that you're still subscribed if you aren't already, because I've noticed there's lots of people unsubscribing or being unsubscribed in my stats and things. So just make sure you still are subscribed, because the tubes of you are going through and unsubscribing people from my channel. So thanks for spending some time with me. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.